Hello, my name is Chris Amaro, and I'm the percussion and drumline instructor at Southeast High School with Woodcraft Rangers. Today I'm going to give you the introduction and basics to how to approach drums or drumming overall. So first thing is you'll need is some drumsticks. Now, if you don't have any of these, you could easily order them online or at a music store if they happen to be open. But if not, what you could also use is smaller objects like pencils or just even your hands, whatever you have lying around. If it's stick-like, I would say go for it, but ideally you should have a pair of drumsticks. But if not, just use what you got. Now the first thing you should know about holding sticks is, well, how to hold them. So I'm gonna go step by step on how to hold a drumstick. So first thing is first, you're going to want to divide up your stick into 3 equal parts, trying to even it out right there. So first thing you want to do is just have 3 equal parts like this. And then around this back third, this is where you're mostly going to hold the stick. I should also mention there's different parts with different names of the stick. Like this part right here is the bead. This is the shoulder of the stick. This is the body, and then this is the butt end of the stick. So going back to what I mentioned before, you want to use this back part where the butt end is to hold the stick. So now, about right where that back third starts is where you're going to want to hold it. So I kind of bookmarked it with this finger right here. And so what I want to do now is I want to get my thumb for whatever hand I want to hold the stick in, and just like I'm doing a thumbprint, just put it right on the stick. So it should look like that. And then the next thing you want to do is, you see this line right here on your pointer finger? Next thing you want to do is just make sure that line lines up with the stick, but also it does this sort of formation between the thumb and the pointer finger. And if I flip it this way, or I guess this way, you should see sort of like a plus formation. This is an important part of holding the stick, as we call this the fulcrum. And that's where a lot of different approaches and ways of using the stick come from. So this is important. You just want to also make sure your thumb's just flat on there and you're not doing anything weird, like don't hyperextend the finger. We're not looking for that. That's not cute. And so, now that we have this, and this is looking all right, you want to make sure like this hole right here is closed. Then the next thing is using your middle finger, same line up here. You're just going to put it right on the stick and kind of have the stick right inside your palm. Then you're just going to wrap the rest of your fingers around, and that's how you hold the stick. So it should look like this if you're doing it right. And then just to have it on the pad over the surface, your palm is facing the ground and then the top of your hand is just facing towards the ceiling. That's the approach that you want to have. And then rinse and repeat for your other hand, all those steps. And then that's how you build the stick grip. And then when you have your sticks over the drum surface, you want to make sure you have a sort of triangle formation. I like to call it a pizza pie formation. And then you just put it right here. I guess if I do this, just 1 second. See how it's sort of a pizza formation, making a slice? That's what we want to go for. So that's how you hold the stick. Now an important thing you should be asking yourself is, if I put the sticks down, am I able to automatically pick them back up and just get to the position right away? So it takes time at the beginning. You have to set it like a few times, just thumb, finger, wrap around, all that stuff. You should meticulously place all of that at the beginning, but eventually it's just as simple as put the stick down. Very little adjustment needed. You just pick it right up and you're good to go. So ask yourself, am I doing the steps correctly? Does it look good? Does it feel good? you should be asking yourself these things as you give these a try. Also, just put the sticks down, rinse and repeat the process. Now I'm going to talk about the 4 main strokes when it comes to hitting the drum or the drum surface. So there's 4 different approaches for different sounds, different dynamics. These are all really important to know at the beginning. So we have our stick. So the first stroke I'm going to demonstrate is what I call the upstroke. Some people might call it the rebound stroke. People might have different names for these, but in general, there's these 4 main strokes that all percussionists and all drummers use. So we're going to start up here with our beads of the stick, just right up here. It's about a little over a foot or just about a foot off the surface of the drum or the pad. And so upstroke or rebound stroke, like the second name implies, rebound, you want to just have a rebound with the bead come right back up. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a basketball to demonstrate, but you want to pretend like you have a ball, and in order for the ball to come right back up, you need to give it a little more momentum and some force in order for the ball to come back. Otherwise, if you just do this, the ball is just gonna just not come back up. So if you have a basketball lying around, just give it a couple dribbles and apply it the same way for the upstroke. So if I'm doing just strokes with one hand, same idea. Or you could just alternate between your right hand and your left hand. Notice how I'm keeping the grip consistent. And so if you see it from the side, I'll demonstrate like this. So there's sort of like a break of the wrist, but the arm has a natural motion with it. Here I'm not going just total stiff arm and just unnatural. I don't agree with that. You shouldn't play like that, and it's just tension you don't need while playing. So that's the rebound stroke. The next stroke is the downstroke. Similar how I had the previous one is also called the upstroke. This is the downstroke. So you start in the same place, just right up here. But then instead of coming back up, you're just gonna stay straight down after the stroke. So basically, you start here, and you end down there. That's the downstroke. So it's like down, down. And the way you keep it downward is just basically, you use your hand sort of just to absorb the shock. So instead of using the momentum of the stick and guiding it back up with the upstroke, you're just using your hand to keep the stick right down here. And notice how I'm not just, it doesn't end right on the surface of the pad. Like, there's a slight bounce, ricochet, but it's just a quick hit and then it just stays down here. Just a clean attack. So doing this down again, facing forward. Got to reset. Nope, that wasn't very good, but yeah, so there's a big difference starting up here and ending down here. So that brings us to the next one. So this stroke, the third stroke, is called a tap. And then generally, it's called a tap because it's just like a quick tap, tap. It's a cool name and pretty straightforward of what it means. So with a tap, when it comes to drumming, basically it's just right down here. Starts down here and ends down here. Let me just move it a little bit so you can see it. So yeah, taps, it could be, they're softer, they're quieter, they're not as loud as upstrokes or downstrokes. So when you're playing taps, all you really need is a smaller muscle group. So it's just the wrist you would really need. So it's just like if you're knocking on a door, you just bring that motion down here and you're just breaking the wrist. not using arm. So there's a difference between using the wrist and just arm. There's a big difference in that sound quality. So you just want to be sure you knock it on the door for taps. So that's taps. And now the final fourth stroke is called the prep stroke. So this is an important one. It's tricky to get at first, but if you just slow it down and then gradually get used to it, it makes more sense. So it starts down here like the tap, but basically instead of just coming right where you started, you bring the stick right up. So the prep stroke, you notice how it's at the same volume as taps? So this is an important thing because oftentimes the prep stroke will lead to, it's basically what bridges rebound strokes and taps. So you also want to imagine, if you're having trouble like just getting the feel of it, imagine the surface of the drum is a hot plate or like a hot surface like a stove or a frying pan. So if I'm just going in for a light touch, I go, I touched the surface really lightly, but like pulling back is like a lot faster and my hand goes up like you're touching a hot surface. You don't just leave it there, that's painful. So just whoop, whoop, whoop. So yeah, those are the 4 strokes. Now you also have to ask yourself, am I getting the different sounds? Am I getting the different views so I'm not morphing all the different sounds together? Each one's distinct. So just to recap, you just want to ask yourself, do these look and sound distinct? So I can be, oh, those are taps. That's a prep stroke. So example, I want my rebound strokes to be nice and identifiable. And then downstrokes, just resetting it like this. And then taps, oh yeah, that's a tap. And then prep strokes. So yeah, that's what you should ask yourself. And then also try it at like different dynamics, like stuff like that. So those are the 4 main strokes. So there's some exercises you could try with these 4 strokes. So one of them is just doing a combination of 3 of them. This uses the downstroke, the tap, and the prep stroke. The latter 3 that I went over. And it's just basically down, tap, tap, prep, down, tap, tap, prep, down, tap, tap, prep, down, tap, tap, prep, down. So just a simple one that you could do, and from the side it should look, I'll slow it down also. Down, tap, tap, prep, down, tap, tap, prep, down, tap, tap, prep, down. And then you could try that with one hand, then try the other hand. Make sure you use both hands for exercises. And then you could also use both hands together. And then, if you want to challenge yourself, try doing it at different speeds. So try slowing it down. So the tricky thing with that is you want to make sure you avoid your hands just not lining up. You just want it like nice and precise with each other. Or even faster, like. And now when you go faster, make sure your hand is relaxed so you don't. Stuff like just relaxed. That's the name of the game. And then you also, we got another exercise you could give a try where it combines all 4 of them in a sort of systematic way. So you start up here and you just go through the cycle of the 4. So prep, rebound, rebound, downstroke, downstroke, tap, tap, prep stroke, prep stroke. So, rebound, rebound, down, down, tap, tap, prep, prep. And you should end right back up here because you cycle through it over and over. So yeah, you could try that at the different speeds or even get creative. Try playing along with a song you like. For example, yeah, so on and so forth. Just make sure you're still in time and give those a try. Now, another important thing I want to go over about drumming, percussion, all of that stuff, or just music in general, is just timing, the pulse, feeling the rhythm, all that stuff. I know some of that sounds corny, like feel the rhythm, but sometimes you just have to feel it and just know where you are metronomically. So I have a device right here called a metronome. Now, you don't need to own a metronome personally. They have phone apps that you could easily download or purchase that are pretty good. So you could use that for timing, and I highly recommend it too, since that helps you just set up how you play, if you're playing in time, all of that. So metronomes do this. They give a beat, a pulse. So right now this is set to about 65 beats per minute. And so what you want to do, I'm going to demonstrate how you would play along with it, but also the types of notes that fit in each beat. So we have quarter notes. So you want to make sure you listen, because right now this is giving a quarter note beat. Beat, 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 beat. So again, these are called quarter notes. So it would go much like this. So I'm making sure I listen for the metronome and line up right with it for the quarter notes. So the next one I'm going to go over is eighth notes. So eighth notes fit in much like this. So if this is our quarter note, here's how eighth notes fit in. So in a way you can think of it like it doubles the time, but also you're fitting two notes into that one quarter note evenly. So if I'm playing quarter notes on the metronome, here's how it sounds with eighth notes. So this is quarter note, quarter note. I'm going to add eighth notes. You want to make sure you're listening. So yeah, that's how eighth notes fit in. There's also another version of this triplets where you fit three notes into this quarter note evenly. So triplet, 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 burgundy, 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 taco truck, taco truck. Whatever helps you think about 3 and 1. So here's how triplets sound in there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, and then the next one I'll show you is 16th notes. So this is 4 in a quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so that's the basics of it. And again, a quick review is, here's quarter notes, quarter note. Here's eighth notes. Now triplets. Now 16th notes. So that's how all that fits into just one quarter note of a metronome beat, or just beats. So now you should ask yourself, how can I work on playing in time, trying different rhythms, all that stuff. So again, with the metronome, I'm going to have it go for a bit. Try thinking of different words or mnemonics that could help you associate like the different quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, triplets. So for quarter notes, I like to use play, 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 play. For eighth notes, running, 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 running. Triplets, burgundy, 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 burgundy. Or even for 16th notes, alligator, 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 ow. But also, if you just want to count it out, it would be like, well, quarter notes just. But then for eighth notes, it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And then for triplets, 1 pull-let, 2 pull-let, 3 pull-let, 4 pull-let, 1 pull-let, 2 pull-let, 3 pull-let, 4 pull-let. And then for 16th notes, 1 E and 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 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So that's a different way you could think about it. So try different ways, different words, different ways of counting, but just make sure you line up with the beat. And then try it at different speeds. So like I could try it at a faster speed. Quarter notes, then triplets. Sixteenth notes. So on and so forth. I was rushing a little bit, but I made sure I was asking myself, am I rushing? I think I am. And so another alternative is just, again, try with the song. So the beat for this song is this. I think this is eighth notes, actually. Quarter notes. Let's try triplets. Might get a little tricky with some of them. 16th notes. So you can get creative with it. And also just ask, again, am I in time or not? So that concludes today's introduction to drum basics and your introduction to hitting stuff with sticks probably. So thank you for joining me. Now to challenge yourself, again, ask if you're playing in time, ask if there's different songs you could try with this. Maybe try explaining it to someone like a family member and see if they can pick it up too. Just try different things that can get you going. And also with the stick grip, set it down, ask and challenge yourself. How quickly can I set the grip to look good and like function right? So just different things. Have a great week.